What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here, and today I am bringing you guys the very first major podcast. So extremely excited to bring this all out to all of you guys. Very excited. I do have a guest with me who's going to be joining me on the show. So we're planning on doing the major podcast at least a couple of times a month, guys. But with that being said, my guest for the day is Mike. He is actually with Project Green, and we'll get into what Project Green is here very shortly, but yeah, like Mike, the man, his name is Mike, Project Mike. So, without further ado, like I said, guys, I give you guys Mike from Project Green.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? This is Mike from, like Josh said, I'm from Project Green. Thank you so much, Josh, for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Happy to have you here, Mike. So we're going to get right into this thing, guys. The first thing we're going to be talking about is Project Green. So I might not have emphasized this in the beginning of the podcast, but Mike is actually the owner and the founder of Project Green. They are a nonprofit organization, but I'm going to have him talk a little bit more about Project Green and kind of the mission and all of that, and then we'll kind of see how does Project Green get involved into esports. Is it something that is going to be happening in that retrospect? But without all of that and without, kind of getting into a whole heck of a lot of detail, I'm going to transfer it over to Mike here, who's going to tell you guys a little bit about Project Green and what they do and where you guys can maybe find them.
Yeah, so the Project Green, we're a nonprofit environmental organization. So we just inform the public about the real threats that our planet is facing, whether that be climate change, sea levels rising, or even like endangered species. And our ultimate mission is to just pave a way for a cleaner, greener future, and by investing in renewable energy. So you can find us on Facebook, just the Project Green, Twitter, and also on our website, which is theprojectgreen.org.
Yeah, I think that with Project Green, it's something that's a big reason why I wanted to bring Project Green and Mike onto this show today as our first episode as a team and everything. I think it's kind of, important. It's something different. You don't really see a lot of esports teams really talking about having a healthier, greener planet. I mean, you sometimes hear things in the media and stuff, but you don't really hear it very much in the esports scene. So that's why I really wanted to have his, have his kind of aspect and his kind of 2 cents into the whole thing, but also about how Project Green is going to eventually get into the esports scene and how that's kind of becoming a thing, because I think, guys, a lot of different organizations, whether it is a new controller company or it's some sort of big investment firm, a lot of different people are getting involved in esports. And Project Green is one of those companies that you might think, oh, they might actually there's a possibility that they could get into something or into the esports scene. So, Mike, what do you kind of think about that? Like, what is it that Project Green is doing, and is there a massive interest in the esports scene?
Yeah, so even at a young age, I was a gamer myself, and I thought, why not invest into esports? Because I thought it was something unique. It was something that was so enjoyable to watch, and so that's why here at the Project Green, we're going to we're looking around trying to find a team to sponsor, because there's no other organizations, nonprofits that are actually doing this. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for the Project Green to do this.
Yeah, and it's something like it kind of hits home for us, at least here at Major, and so we're really excited not only about the future of Project Green, but just the future of what this could mean for esports, getting other organizations involved in esports, getting everyone involved. The more people that are getting involved, the bigger that esports is going to grow as a whole. But yeah, so I mean, moving on to the next thing, we recently announced this past week our PUBG team. So we jumped into the PUBG scene, which is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and we're really, really excited about it. And I think that PUBG is one of those titles I never really thought at first that we would get into this esport title first with Major. But I'm really excited about it. The team's really good. We got a lot of things happening, and PUBG as a whole is obviously a growing game. It's not like a really old game. It's one of those games that just came out more recently than not, and a lot of people are getting involved in it. And so I think that PUBG was a great place for us to start. Mike, do you have, as far as like PUBG goes, do you think that this as an esport is going to continue growing? Because I know you've been kind of looking into it a little bit, not necessarily like been playing it or anything, but you've been looking into it. What do you think of PUBG as an esport?
Yeah, so the game I think is very competitive. I have seen multiple live streams and videos of it, and I think a lot of my friends play it. They love it, and so I think it is a perfect opportunity for you guys. This is your way to kind of introduce your esports organization.
Yeah, and I think like the guys who are involved in this team, I mean, there's so much that's really like happening with each individual player. They're just, there's so much, and they're all super passionate about PUBG, and they're all excited to see the growth of the esport. And I think it's something that's really, really exciting. But there's obviously, guys, going to be a lot more announcements regarding the PUBG team and kind of what we're trying to do as far as content-wise goes with the team, and really finding ways that we can really introduce these players to you so you can really get to know them on an individual basis and on a personal level. And that's really important to us here, that you can all like kind of really be able to follow these guys and follow the team and really fall in love with watching PUBG and watching Major in particular competing in it. Moving on to our next topic, we're talking about trickshotting and sniping. So Major obviously is going to be heavily involved in Call of Duty, and Call of Duty not only on esports side but also on a trickshotting and sniping side, which I'm really excited about. But trickshotting and sniping, I mean, it goes way back for me. I mean, I used to play, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2 were the two big ones that I really played when it came to trickshotting and sniping. And ever since those two games, every game that's come out, I've always sniped. And I've always tried to trickshot for the most part. I don't think I tried an Infinite Warfare, but tried for the most part on every single game to trickshot and to snipe. And that's really that's something that really kind of hits home for me. And with World War II coming out, I'm really excited about that. Do you have any experience, Mike, with trickshotting, sniping on either one of those sides of just Call of Duty in general? And for those of you wondering, trickshotting is essentially jumping from high elevated points on maps in Call of Duty or in different Call of Duty titles, and jumping off of those elevated points and doing a combo of different of hitting different buttons and spinning around in circles. So maybe doing like a 720 or a 1080 or a 1440, and doing a combination of different buttons on your controller or on your keyboard, and hitting your opponent, whether they're like right next to you where you're jumping from, or if they're across the map. And it's actually very entertaining. It's really neat. If you guys watched our History of Majority Rules, which we dropped last week, you can check those out, and you can see each of those. We call them cams, and they show different trick shots and such, and you guys can kind of really see it firsthand, really what trick shotting is. And sniping is just exactly what it sounds like, using a sniper rifle in a Call of Duty title and trying to get what we call a kill feed, which is where it shows all the different kills that are coming in a specific match or game mode. It basically shows you killing, say, 4, 5, 6 people in a row, and you take up that entire kill feed with the sniper rifle. And it does take a lot more skill than people realize, and that's why I think why we love it so much. And it started with some of the bigger teams out there in the community, but we really were built on this concept of trickshotting and sniping, so we really want to stick to that. But Mike, getting back to you, what do you think about trickshotting sniping? Has it been something that you've really tried on Call of Duty, on any of the titles? What do you think about trickshotting and sniping? And if you didn't really trickshot and snipe, did you like to pub stomp?
Yeah, so when I first started gaming, I did the typical gamer. I would just play with all the guns, try to get as many kills as possible, the usual. And then, I actually did. I remember coming across a video, I think it was from FaZe. And, they were, like, spinning around. And at the time, this is going back, I think towards MW2, it was just simple stuff, but at the time I thought it was the coolest thing. And so me and a couple of my buddies, we decided, hey, why not try this? This seems cool. And so yeah, I have done my fair share of trick shotting and sniping and stuff. For the most part now when I do game, it's more just laid back, so I'll use whatever kind of guns that I'm given or that I'll use. It just depends, but I think it's really cool what you guys are doing, because I feel like the trick shot community is kind of died down a little bit, and I'm glad that you guys are kind of trying to bring that back.
So the next topic for this podcast, we're talking about World War II. So the newest Call of Duty, everyone, that's going to be coming out. There's a lot of hype building around it, a lot of excitement, because we are back to boots on the ground. People are really excited about it. I'm excited about it as well. I think that this could be a game-changing Call of Duty if it's done right, if it's done well. I think it could really help the community kind of get back to where we once were. I'm excited about World War II. I think World War II is going to be a massive step for Call of Duty. I think that they're not going to make the same mistake that they did, knock on wood, that is, that, hopefully they don't, screw this all up like they did in the past few years. Now, Advanced Warfare, I'm not going to, throw any kind of hate towards, just Call of Duty as a whole, because Advanced Warfare was kind of more experimental than anything, and I felt that, it was the first, game that was a little bit different, obviously, and it was a different kind of movement system, different everything. But the problem was that they created 3 games that had this same kind of advanced movement system, and that's what I think really screwed everything up in the community, and they lost so many people. Advanced Warfare would have been fine as a standalone game, and if it did extremely well, then maybe they go back to doing Advanced Warfare 2 at some point later down the road. But it was just one of those games that did not have that. It wasn't a game that everybody loved forever. I mean, I enjoyed the game for a period of time, but then it kind of got stale to me. But World War II, I think, is going to be huge. Now, I'm a little bit worried about a couple of things with it. We'll kind of get into that. But the big question here, Mike, is World War II going to last? Is it going to last an entire cycle as far as like a full year? Are people going to be playing it, religiously for a full year? Or is it going to kind of die down after, maybe the first of the year? Or could this actually become a classic Call of Duty that we all love years from now?
Yeah, so I actually played the beta for World War II this past month, and I really did enjoy it. They definitely have stuff to improve on a decent amount, but it was a lot of fun. Now, is this going to be just a yearly thing? No, I don't think it will. I think that they're going to, at least the next couple Call of Duties, because I think this one's going to be successful, I believe that they're going to come out with a few more kind of based in the World War II, just World War era based Call of Duty. So I think for the next few years, I think this is going to be a World War II or just World War boots on the ground Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not sure if I think that they're going to continue doing World War II. I think they might do more. They might do maybe a little bit futuristic, but not, all boots on the ground. Basically, kind of, essentially what I'm thinking is another Black Ops 2 kind of style game is what I think we're going to get maybe next year as far as the Call of Duty goes. I wouldn't mind having another World War II game. I just think there's only so many ways and so many different stories that you can do, and we've played so many of these. We've seen so many different kinds of World War II movies. I just think you can only do it so much before it gets stale. So I think what they need to do is either go a little bit into the future, not where we're getting jetpacks and shit, but I'm saying where, it's boots on the ground, but it's still a futuristic kind of feel, or even present day. I mean, you got like the Modern Warfare, something kind of along those lines. I'd be totally down to see something like that. But I am excited. I'm excited because this is showing us a new direction. Sledgehammer fucked everything up, and now they're putting everything back together, or at least they're trying to. So that's what I'm excited. I'm excited about the future of World War II. I'm excited about the future of Call of Duty. What do you think about the esports side of Call of Duty though? This year, I'm predicting now the maps. That's one thing that's a little bit of an issue in my eyes, because you always kind of look at these maps as kind of obviously you want to find maps that are classic maps that people remember. I mean, I can't remember any of the maps from World War II's beta. Like, I don't remember the names of them. Now, I remember, like, okay, this one's okay, that one's not that good, but I don't remember the names. Now, I know it was just a beta, and when you start playing it more, you'll kind of get used to maybe the map names, but that's one thing that's a little bit worrisome to me. I find a lot of times people are, like, camouflaged in the map. It makes it very difficult. It's got, the color palette is it's not very colorful like it was maybe on Black Ops 3. It was it's kind of more gritty and more, like, it has more like of a brown kind of palette, which isn't a bad thing because I think Modern Warfare 2 kind of had a similar kind of palette that they put together. But I'm just worried about seeing people. I'm worrying about stuff like that. Are you worried about anything like that, or do you think it's probably just going to be totally fine? Because the maps are probably one of the biggest concerns for me, as well as a couple of the weapons are a little bit overpowered, but what do you think about the maps?
Yeah, so I am going to have to agree with you on the maps. There wasn't many that actually stuck out to me that I thought were actually a map that I would like to continually play. As for the names, like, I understand what they're doing, where some of them are based in, like, Germany and stuff, but it is going to be kind of hard to for people to remember because they're harder to pronounce. So I am kind of worried about that. I feel like Sledgehammer does have some tricks up their sleeve that that they didn't show in the beta that they're going to have in the game. But I am still excited. As far as the color palette goes, I do think that it is a little bit harder to see people. But I did really enjoy MW2, and it kind of had that same feel. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited though. I mean, nonetheless, don't get me wrong, guys. World War II, I think, is going to really help the community. Now, is it going to bring all the old people that were playing back in the day, World War II or Modern Warfare 2 times, Black Ops 2 times? I'm not sure if it's going to do that, but I do think it's going to really, I think it's really going to kind of help the community a lot. And you know what cracks me up is when I'm playing the beta, I see these people that are jumping like continuously, like they're trying to boost jump or something. So you can definitely see the people who are used to classic Call of Duty and the people who are used to this futuristic kind of movement system that they incorporated in 3 of the past Call of Duties. It's kind of funny. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens. But moving into our last topic, guys, for the day. Are esports growing too fast? So basically, guys, I think that esports as a whole, you know, has been growing substantially over the years, and it just keeps on going, keeps on growing. And I mean, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing for esports to be growing. But the question is it growing too fast? Is it kind of one of those things that we're going to hit like a level cap almost, and then, you know, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a crash, or is there going to be something that ends up happening that's going to really hurt esports as a whole? I mean, we've had things that have hurt individual esports titles, like the scandal that ended up happening in StarCraft, which was with match fixing. We've noticed, you know, ratings fall with certain games, maybe Call of Duty or other titles. We've seen things happen to individual titles, but as esports as a whole, is there a place where it's going to get to a place where it's going to collapse? So, for example, will we see at some point or another some of these bigger esports teams fold up and completely go bankrupt, or will they, you know, just completely, you know, fold up because maybe investors end up backing out? You know, something like that ends up happening. I'm not sure exactly if we're growing too fast. I think that we're growing at a very, very steady rate, but I don't know. I mean, I think that with more esports titles that are coming out, I think it's going to be, I think that the growth of esports is just going to go even more and more so worldwide, which I'm very excited about, and that's why esports is such a great place to be in, and it's the perfect time to be in esports right now because it's really, really taking off. I mean, it's been taking off for years, and we all know that, but it's just getting to a place where people are able to make this their careers, and it's an exciting time, and it's an exciting place. But, you know, Mike, do you think that esports as a whole, is the growth, is it going to stay steady over the years, or is it going to slow down substantially, or do you think there's going to be a massive crash and esports is almost going to be irrelevant again? Now, if you look at certain sports that were at the top and now we're kind of collapsing, in traditional sports, I think we could probably agree baseball, MLB, was at the top of all sports for a long period of time, very long period of time. And I think that we've noticed over the course of maybe the past decade or so, baseball has substantially really cut back on its fan base, on just like, the ticket sales, merchandise sales, everything has collapsed, not collapsed, but it's gone down a drastic amount. So the question is, are we going to see something similar like that? Is baseball like a sign of, or not a sign, or is that something that we can maybe look at? Maybe esports as a whole doesn't crash like maybe baseball did, but maybe some of the esports styles start to crash. Or, will League of Legends and Dota stay at the top for forever? Or will those start to kind of fold up? What do you think about this, Mike? Do you think that do you think that we're in for a whole heap of trouble, or do you think that sky is the limit?
Now, for me personally, the difference between like an MLB and esports, the one cool thing that I love about esports is there's so many different game titles. So yes, as you said towards the end, maybe a couple games will fold up, and we have already seen that. But I don't think esports as a whole will technically just collapse. I think it's going to continue to grow because of the demand, and kids these days, that's all they do. They stay inside and they just game, because why not? It's so entertaining, it's a lot of fun, and now you're able to make money and compete at a professional level. So I do not think that it's going to fold up. I think games in esports some will fold, some will fail, some will prosper, but as a whole, I don't think it will.
Yeah, esports, I mean, it's and I think, guys, on closing notes, I think it's very important for all of us to understand that we're kind of in this together. We're all trying to do the same thing, which is basically help the growth of esports, help the growth of gaming, whether you're into esports or you like to game, whatever the case might be. We're all in this together, and it's up to us to really see the growth of esports and to see, the growth of our individual organizations, ourselves, everything. So I think that that's extremely important, that we just have to constantly remind ourselves that this is a community, and that's what makes us so much different than traditional sports. There's a much different kind of connection with the people involved in these organizations and the people involved in esports, that you don't have in traditional sports. So, I mean, for example, you don't see like a LeBron James posting YouTube videos all the time with his, workout routines, or you really see him making YouTube videos where he's just like talking to everyone. Now, he does put up some like little Facebook videos, but they're usually generally very short. They're just, he would never have a meetup where he'd have, just a meetup where people could just go and just meet up with him, because obviously there'd be a lot of people. But see, with esports and with, with these gaming organizations, it's totally different. You could love an individual player, and you would actually have the possible chance of actually meeting that person on a personal level, whether it's at an event or at a meet and greet, a meetup, whatever it is. It's a very different kind and unique kind of community, and that's why I think I love esports so much, and that's why I really hope that we see the growth of it continue. But with that being said, everyone, that is going to do it for the Major Podcast. I hope you guys all enjoyed it very much so. Mike, thank you so much for being on here with me. Mike, tell everyone one more time where they can find you and where they can find Project Green.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Josh, for having me on your first ever podcast. It's really an honor. So if you guys want to learn more about the Project Green, what we do, and how we're trying to benefit not only society but our planet, you can go on Facebook. You can find us at facebook.com/theprojectgreen. You can find us on Twitter at _the Project Green. and then also on our website, which is theprojectgreen.org.
Well, guys, you heard it from the man himself. If you guys want to, you guys can go in the description down below. You guys can check out the Project Green and what they're trying to do. All of their links are going to be in the description down below. And as for Major, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast. And if you guys want to see more of them, please leave us a thumbs up. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as for Zero, I am out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.